Liam loved going to the park every Saturday. For him, it was more than just a place to spend time outdoors. It was a place where he could feel free, even though he used a wheelchair to move around. The park had a wide, smooth path that was perfect for rolling along, watching kids play, and enjoying the sounds of the city that didn't feel too loud or scary. Liam had been visiting the park for years, and over time it had become like a second home to him. That morning the sun shone brightly, painting the sky a soft blue. Birds chirped cheerfully from the trees, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Liam wheeled himself out of the driveway with a small backpack filled with snacks, a water bottle, and a notebook, where he liked to draw. His older sister Grace walked beside him. She always made sure Liam felt safe, helping him navigate curbs and rough patches along the way. Today, like most Saturdays, they were heading toward the basketball court near the middle of the park, where Liam often met a few friends who loved to play and chat with him. As they moved along the sidewalk, Liam waved at a man jogging by. The man waved back, smiling. Everything seemed normal and peaceful. Liam felt happy. He loved this part of the park, where the trees created a small canopy over the path, offering shade from the morning sun. He hummed a little tune to himself, enjoying the calm feeling. Grace noticed his smile and returned it, glad that he felt so relaxed. Then a sudden loud noise broke the calm. Liam froze for a moment. It was the roar of motorcycles, so loud that it seemed to shake the ground slightly beneath his wheels. Grace frowned, sensing trouble even before she saw what was coming. A group of bikers appeared up ahead, driving slowly in formation down the road that ran alongside the park. Their engines rumbled like thunder, and they wore leather jackets and helmets, some with dark visors hiding their faces. They were the kind of people Liam had only seen in movies, but never this close in real life. Liam's stomach tightened. One of the bikers glanced over in his direction and seemed to slow down. He stared directly at Liam, his eyes hidden behind reflective sunglasses. Liam felt his heart pound faster. There was something mean in the way the biker looked at him. He tried to focus on the path ahead, hoping the biker would pass by without noticing him too much. But the biker didn't move. Instead, he drove a little closer, adjusting his bike so it was near Liam on the sidewalk. The other bikers followed, forming a semicircle that made Liam feel trapped. Grace stepped closer to Liam, placing a protective hand on his shoulder. She knew that this group of bikers could be unpredictable. They were laughing and shouting among themselves, their voices loud and rough. Liam felt a lump form in his throat. He tried to look away, hoping it was just a bad moment that would pass quickly. But the biker closest to him leaned slightly, and Liam caught the sound of a mocking tone as the biker said something about his wheelchair. The words weren't very clear, but Liam understood enough to feel the sting. They were making fun of him, trying to intimidate him. People nearby noticed the scene unfolding. A few joggers paused, uncertain whether to intervene. Some parents called their children to come closer, sensing danger but unsure what they could do. Liam's friends were still across the park, too far to help. Liam felt a mix of fear and embarrassment. He wanted to get out of there, to roll away as fast as possible, but the biker's position made him feel cornered. His hands tightened on the wheels of his chair, ready to move but not sure which way was safest. Grace tried to speak, her voice calm but firm. She said, "Hey, leave him alone. He's just a kid." The biker laughed louder this time, and some of the other bikers joined in, their laughter harsh and mocking. The group seemed to enjoy making Liam uncomfortable, surrounding him with the noise and presence of their motorcycles. Liam's hands shook slightly. He wished he could disappear, wished the ground would open up and take him away from this moment. Then, just as Liam's fear seemed to peak, something unexpected happened. From the far end of the park, two men appeared, jogging casually. They looked like ordinary people at first glance, dressed in athletic wear, but there was a certain presence about them that made the air feel different. The bikers didn't notice them immediately, busy with their teasing. Grace, however, squinted and recognized the two instantly. Her eyes widened with surprise. One of them was Dwayne, known to many as The Rock, and right behind him was John Cena. Both men were well known not just for their athletic achievements but for their presence and reputation for standing up for what was right. Liam couldn't believe his eyes. He blinked several times, thinking he was imagining things. But there they were, jogging toward the scene, calm yet confident, moving as if they belonged there. The bikers still didn't seem to notice. thinking they could continue their intimidation without any consequences. But the closer The Rock and John Cena came, the more the atmosphere began to change. There was an invisible weight to their presence that made the bikers pause just slightly at first. Liam's heart started to beat a little faster. But this time it wasn't just fear, it was hope. The Rock walked with a steady, deliberate pace, his eyes focused on the group surrounding Liam. John Cena mirrored his steps, staying slightly behind but equally aware of every movement. People watching began to sense that something significant was about to happen. There was a feeling of anticipation, like the moment before a storm breaks or before a hero steps into action. Liam felt a small spark of courage flicker inside him. Grace felt her heart pounding as she saw the bikers closing in on Liam. Her mind raced, trying to think of what to do. She had always been protective of her younger brother, but this was different. There were so many of them, and they seemed intent on scaring him. Liam's hands were trembling on the wheels of his chair, and she could see the fear in his eyes. She wanted to do something to make them stop, but she knew she couldn't do it alone. Grace took a deep breath and stepped closer to Liam, trying to block him from the bikers. She spoke firmly, her voice steady despite the worry twisting in her chest. "Hey, leave him alone. He hasn't done anything to you." The bikers turned toward her, sneering, and one of them leaned down slightly, trying to intimidate her as well. Grace's heart skipped a beat, but she didn't back away. She wanted to show Liam that she was there for him, even if she felt scared herself. Some of the bikers started laughing, their voices loud and harsh, filling the space around them. The man who had been mocking Liam's wheelchair spoke again, this time more clearly. He said something cruel, trying to make Liam feel small. Liam looked down at his wheels, gripping them tightly, feeling the heat of embarrassment rise in his face. He wanted to disappear, to roll away somewhere safe, but the bikers' presence made it impossible. People nearby had started to gather at a distance, unsure whether to step in. A jogger paused mid-stride, watching the scene unfold with concern. A mother holding her child looked worried, clutching the little boy close to her. No one knew exactly how to help, and that hesitation gave the bikers a sense of power. Liam could feel it, and it made him feel even more vulnerable. He took a deep breath, trying to stay calm, but inside, fear was bubbling up. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, a shift happened in the park. From the far side, two men appeared, jogging toward the group. Grace's eyes widened as recognition hit her. It was Dwayne, known as The Rock, followed closely by John Cena. She could hardly believe it. They were famous, strong, and known for standing up to bullies. She felt a rush of hope wash over her. Maybe now Liam wouldn't have to face this alone. The bikers, still focused on intimidating Liam, hadn't noticed the approaching men yet. But as The Rock and John Cena got closer, the atmosphere started to change. Their confident, calm presence made the bikers pause just for a moment. It was subtle, but enough for Liam to feel a shift. He looked up, his eyes widening as he realized help was on the way. The Rock and John Cena walked steadily toward the bikers, not rushing, not showing anger, just moving with a quiet authority that was impossible to ignore. The bikers noticed them now, some squinting to recognize who they were. Their laughter began to falter slightly as the presence of the two men made the situation feel different, heavier, more serious. Liam's heart beat faster, but this time it was mixed with relief. He wasn't alone anymore. As they approached, The Rock spoke first, his deep, calm voice cutting through the noise of engines and laughter. He addressed the bikers directly, telling them to step back and explaining that what they were doing was wrong. He didn't shout, but there was a strength in his words that carried weight. John Cena stood beside him, his tall frame and serious expression adding to the sense that the bikers could no longer act without consequence. The bikers looked at each other, uncertain. They had been confident just moments ago, but now the energy had shifted. They weren't used to being challenged, and certainly not in front of a child they were trying to intimidate. Some of them muttered under their breath, unsure how to respond. The mocking tone that had been so harsh just a moment ago was gone. Liam felt a spark of courage within himself, encouraged by the sight of The Rock and John Cena standing up for him. Grace squeezed Liam's hand, her eyes filled with a mix of relief and awe. She whispered to him, "They're here to help, Liam. You're going to be okay." Liam nodded, taking a deep breath, feeling his fear slowly giving way to hope. He watched as The Rock knelt slightly, looking toward Liam, not as a celebrity, but as a person who understood the situation and wanted to make it right. John Cena's eyes scanned the bikers, ensuring that none of them would try to act out again. The bikers began to realize that their intimidation was failing. They looked around at the gathering crowd, now more aware of witnesses than before. Some of them seemed embarrassed, unsure of what to do next. One biker, who had been particularly aggressive, shifted uncomfortably under John Cena's gaze. The laughter that had filled the air moments ago was gone, replaced by tension. Liam felt a wave of relief wash over him. The fear that had held him so tightly was loosening. The Rock spoke to Liam, offering words of encouragement. He told him that he was brave and that no one had the right to make him feel small. John Cena added his own reassurance, reminding Liam that courage wasn't above. The bikers were frozen in place as The Rock and John Cena approached. Their calm and confident presence made the atmosphere shift instantly. Liam could hardly believe what he was seeing. Two of the most famous and respected people he had ever seen were walking directly toward the group that had frightened him only moments ago. He could feel his heart pounding, not with fear this time, but with hope and relief. He realized that the bullies were about to face someone they could not intimidate. The Rock stopped a few steps in front of the bikers, standing tall and steady. His voice was deep and clear as he addressed them, telling them that their actions were wrong and that they needed to step back. There was no shouting, no anger, only firmness and authority. John Cena stood beside him, silent but imposing, adding a sense of strength that could not be ignored. The bikers, who had laughed and mocked Liam only moments before, now seemed unsure, shifting nervously on their feet. Liam watched in awe as The Rock knelt slightly to meet his eye level. The gesture was small, but it made Liam feel seen and protected. The words The Rock spoke were simple, but they carried a weight that made the bikers realize their actions had consequences. John Cena's gaze scanned the group, making it clear that any further intimidation would not be tolerated. Liam felt a wave of courage wash over him. Even though he had been scared moments before, the support of these two men gave him a sense of strength he had never felt before. Grace stayed close to Liam, her hand resting on his shoulder. She felt a mix of relief and amazement. She had seen him frightened and vulnerable, and now she saw him looking at the bikers with quiet confidence. It was as if the fear that had held him tightly was being replaced by a newfound courage. The Rock's words to Liam were encouraging, telling him that he was brave and that no one had the right to make him feel small. John Cena added his own words of reassurance, reminding him that courage came in many forms and that facing fear with someone by your side was a true act of strength. The bikers were beginning to realize that their intimidation tactics were failing. They looked around at the small crowd that had gathered, noticing the attention their actions had drawn. Some of them seemed embarrassed and unsure of what to do next. One of the bikers, who had been particularly aggressive, shifted uncomfortably under the watchful eyes of The Rock and John Cena. The loud mocking laughter that had filled the air moments ago was now gone, replaced by silence and tension. Liam felt a rush of relief. The fear that had gripped him moments ago was melting away, replaced by the knowledge that he was no longer alone. The Rock spoke to Liam again, his words simple but powerful. He told Liam that standing up to fear didn't always require physical strength, but it did require heart and courage. John Cena nodded, reinforcing the message. Liam felt a warmth in his chest as he absorbed the encouragement. He realized that he had been brave by staying calm and facing the situation instead of panicking. The support of The Rock and John Cena made him feel validated, seen, and protected. Witnesses to the event began to feel inspired as well. They saw a young boy in a wheelchair facing a group of bullies and two powerful men stepping in to protect him. The message was clear. Standing up for someone in need was an act of courage and could make a difference. Children who had been watching the scene unfold learned that strength was not just about size or intimidation, but about protection, support, and doing what was right. Liam's story was becoming an example of bravery and the importance of standing together. The bikers, sensing that they had lost control, began to step back slowly. The Rock and John Cena didn't need to force them. Their calm authority was enough to make the bikers understand that the harassment could not continue. Liam felt a sense of empowerment he had never felt before. The fear that had dominated his morning had been replaced with relief and hope. He realized that courage wasn't about being fearless, but about finding the strength to face fear with support and guidance. Grace squeezed Liam's hand and whispered to him that they could continue toward the basketball court now. Liam nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The bikers were gone, and the park felt peaceful once again. The presence of The Rock and John Cena had transformed a frightening situation into one of safety, courage, and inspiration. Liam felt grateful and stronger, knowing that he had faced a difficult moment and come through it with help and support. The Rock and John Cena stayed with Liam and Grace for a few moments, ensuring that the boy felt safe and that the bikers had truly left the area. They spoke gently to Liam, asking about his wheelchair, his favorite activities, and his dreams. Liam shared his love for basketball and drawing, and the two men listened attentively, making him feel important and valued. Their attention and encouragement helped Liam understand that even in moments of fear, kindness and support could make a lasting impact. People in the park began to return to their activities, but many still glanced at the scene, inspired by what they had witnessed. Liam's story was no longer just about being targeted by bullies. It was about courage, support, and unexpected heroes stepping in to protect someone in need. Liam realized that fear could be overcome, and that there were people in the world who would stand up for what was right. The bikers slowly stepped back, realizing that the presence of The Rock and John Cena made it impossible to continue their intimidation. Liam felt a rush of relief washing over him, the fear that had gripped him just minutes ago finally fading. The morning that had begun with tension and dread was transforming into something far more meaningful. The park returned to a calmer state, and the scattered onlookers began to breathe a little easier. Some smiled quietly, feeling inspired by the courage they had witnessed, while others whispered to each other about the incredible scene they had just seen. Grace stayed close to Liam, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. She noticed the subtle changes in his demeanor, the way his shoulders had relaxed, the small smile that had begun to form on his lips, and the way his eyes were lighting up with awe. Liam had been scared and vulnerable, but now he seemed to carry a newfound confidence. It wasn't just because the bikers had backed off. It was because he had felt the support and protection of two people who cared. The Rock and John Cena had shown him that even in the face of fear there was hope. And sometimes help could arrive in the most unexpected forms. The Rock knelt down slightly again, making sure he was at Liam's eye level. His voice was calm and reassuring as he spoke directly to him. He told Liam that he had done a brave thing by facing the situation, even when it was frightening. John Cena, standing tall beside him, added that courage was not measured by size or strength, but by the heart and determination to face challenges. Liam listened carefully, absorbing every word. He felt a warmth in his chest, a sense of being understood and valued, something that had been missing in the moments before the bikers arrived. The bikers, sensing that they had truly lost control, started to move away completely. Some muttered apologies, their faces showing embarrassment, while others simply turned their motorcycles and rode off down the street, leaving the park behind. Liam's relief grew with every step they took, and he realized that he could finally breathe freely again. The crowd, having watched the events unfold, began to disperse, but many still lingered at a distance, quietly acknowledging the courage they had witnessed and the kindness that had made it possible. As the bikers disappeared from sight, The Rock and John stayed close to Liam and Grace. They asked Liam about his wheelchair, his interests, and his hobbies. Liam shyly spoke about his love for basketball and drawing, and the two men listened attentively. They laughed with him at little jokes, and their warmth and attention made him feel safe and important. Grace noticed how Liam's eyes sparkled with excitement and how his posture had changed. He seemed taller, more confident, even in his wheelchair. The Rock and John Cena spoke to Liam about facing challenges and the importance of standing up for what is right. They shared simple stories from their own lives, explaining that everyone encounters fear and difficulty, but it is how you respond that defines your courage. Liam felt inspired by their words, understanding that bravery was not about being fearless, but about having the strength to act despite fear. Grace watched him listen intently, feeling proud of her brother and grateful for the lessons he was learning. The park was returning to its usual rhythm, with children playing and joggers moving along the paths. Yet something had changed. There was a sense of hope and encouragement in the air, a feeling that even ordinary moments could become extraordinary when people chose to act with kindness and courage. Liam realized that the events of the morning would stay with him forever. He had faced a difficult and frightening situation, and come through it with support, understanding, and bravery. The Rock and John Cena made sure that Liam felt safe before leaving. They walked with him and Grace toward the basketball court, chatting and laughing along the way. Liam felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness as he shared his thoughts and dreams. The two men encouraged him to keep pursuing his interests and reminded him that it was okay to seek help when needed. Liam's heart swelled with gratitude and pride, knowing that he had experienced something remarkable and life-changing. Grace smiled at Liam, seeing the transformation in her brother. He had gone from fear and uncertainty to courage and confidence, all in the span of a single morning. The presence and guidance of The Rock and John Cena had made this possible. Liam realized that the support of others could make even the scariest moments manageable, and could teach valuable lessons about courage, kindness, and strength. As the morning continued, Liam's morning had started with fear, but now, as he rolled through the park with Grace beside him, he felt a new sense of confidence and courage. The bikers were long gone and the park was peaceful, filled with the usual sounds of children playing, birds chirping, and the soft rustle of leaves in the wind. But Liam's mind was replaying the incredible events that had unfolded just hours ago. He could hardly believe that two of the most admired and strong men, The Rock and John Cena, had appeared to protect him when he needed it most. Grace walked beside him, smiling at how different Liam seemed. He had gone from fear and worry to excitement and empowerment. She could see it in his eyes, the way he held himself, and the way he moved his wheelchair with more confidence than ever before. Liam felt a mixture of gratitude and wonder. He had faced something that had terrified him, and with the support of others, he had emerged stronger and more self-assured. The Rock and John Cena stayed with Liam and Grace for a while longer, chatting with them and sharing stories. They asked Liam about his favorite hobbies and interests, and he told them about his love for basketball, drawing, and spending time in the park. The two men listened intently, asking questions and encouraging him to pursue the things that made him happy. Liam felt a deep sense of being seen and understood, something that had been missing during the moments of fear earlier that morning. As they talked, Liam realized how much courage he had shown. He had faced a group of intimidating bikers without panicking, stayed calm despite his fear, and now with guidance and support, he felt ready to take on new challenges. The Rock and John Cena didn't just protect him, they inspired him to believe in himself. Their words and actions made him understand that bravery wasn't about never being afraid, but about taking action even when fear was present. The bikers were a distant memory now, and the park had returned to its normal rhythm. Children were playing, joggers moved along the paths, and families enjoyed the morning sun. Yet for Liam, the park had transformed. It wasn't just a place to play and enjoy the outdoors anymore. It was a place where he had experienced courage, kindness, and the support of people who truly cared. He realized that ordinary spaces could hold extraordinary moments, and that life could surprise you in ways you never expected. Grace watched as Liam practiced moving his wheelchair around the basketball court. He was more confident, navigating small obstacles and turning corners with ease. The Rock and John Cena encouraged him, offering tips and celebrating his progress. They laughed with him, making the experience enjoyable and memorable. Liam felt empowered not just physically, but emotionally. He understood that the support of others could make a tremendous difference in facing challenges and overcoming fear. The park visitors who had witnessed the earlier events continued their activities, but many glanced at Liam with admiration. His story, which had begun with fear and intimidation, had become one of courage and inspiration. People understood that standing up for someone in need, offering support, and acting with kindness could change lives. Liam realized that his experience could encourage others, showing that bravery and compassion were powerful forces. The Rock and John Cena spoke to Liam about the importance of helping others and standing up for what is right. They explained that courage was not about being the biggest or strongest person in the room, but about using your abilities to make a positive difference. Liam listened closely, absorbing every word. He felt a deep sense of responsibility and understanding, realizing that he could be brave in his own ways and help others whenever possible. As the morning turned to afternoon, Liam and Grace prepared to leave the park. Liam felt a mixture of pride and gratitude. He had faced a frightening situation and emerged stronger, guided by the kindness and support of The Rock and John Cena. The experience had taught him valuable lessons about courage, strength, and the importance of standing together with others who care. He knew that he would carry these lessons with him forever. Before leaving, Liam waved goodbye to The Rock and John Cena, thanking them for their help and encouragement. The two men smiled warmly, telling him to continue being brave, to follow his passions, and to always stand up for what is right. Liam's heart swelled with gratitude. He realized that the morning had not only been about facing fear, but also about learning the power of support, kindness, and courage. Grace pushed Liam's wheelchair toward the park exit, smiling at how much he had grown in such a short time. Liam looked around the park one last time, feeling a sense of peace and accomplishment. He had faced a challenge that could have been frightening and overwhelming, but with the help of others, he had learned that courage, kindness, and support could overcome fear. He understood that even ordinary days could hold extraordinary lessons and that heroes could appear when they were needed most. As they left the park, Liam reflected on the morning's events. He thought about the bikers, the fear he had felt, and the incredible intervention of The Rock and John Cena. He realized that bravery was not just about facing bullies, but about staying strong, seeking support when needed, and believing in oneself. Liam felt empowered and inspired, knowing that he had experienced something remarkable that would shape the way he approached challenges in the future. The day continued, and Liam felt a renewed sense of confidence and joy. He knew that the park, once a place of fear, had become a symbol of hope and courage. The lessons he had learned about bravery, kindness, and the importance of support would stay with him forever. He understood that facing fear was a part of life, but with courage, compassion, and the help of others, it could lead to growth, empowerment, and inspiration. By the time they reached home, Liam felt a deep sense of satisfaction and pride. He had faced a challenge, learned valuable lessons, and experienced the power of courage and support firsthand. The events of the morning had changed him, showing him that even in difficult moments, hope, bravery, and kindness could prevail. Liam knew that he would never forget this day, the lessons he had learned, and the heroes who had appeared when he needed them most. Race practiced moving his wheelchair more confidently around the basketball court. The Rock and John Cena offered tips and encouragement, making the experience fun and educational. Liam laughed as he navigated small obstacles, feeling empowered by the guidance and support. The two men didn't just help him physically. They reinforced his sense of self-worth and bravery. Other park visitors watched Liam with admiration. His story, which had started with fear and intimidation, was now one of courage and inspiration. People understood that even small acts of support and kindness could make a tremendous difference in someone's life. Liam's courage, combined with the guidance of The Rock and John Cena, showed that fear could be overcome and that help could appear when you least expected it. By the time the morning turned into early afternoon, Liam had grown more confident in his wheelchair and more aware of the power of kindness and support. He realized that courage was about facing fear, accepting help when necessary, and believing in oneself. Grace felt a deep sense of pride, knowing that Liam had learned a valuable lesson and had experienced something that would stay with him forever. The bikers were long gone, and the park was peaceful once more. Yet the impact of their encounter lingered. Liam had faced a situation that could have been frightening and disheartening, but with the intervention of The Rock and John Cena, it had become a moment of learning, courage, and hope. Liam understood that even ordinary days could hold extraordinary lessons, and that heroes could appear when they were needed most. As Liam and Grace prepared to leave the park, he felt a strong sense of gratitude and empowerment. He knew that he had faced fear and come out stronger, with support and encouragement that had made all the difference. The Rock and John Cena had shown him the importance of courage, kindness, and standing up for what is right. Liam realized that this experience would stay with him forever, shaping the way he faced challenges and inspired him to help others in need. The morning that had started with fear had ended with hope, strength, and the knowledge that even in the toughest moments, support and courage could prevail. As Liam wheeled himself closer to The Rock and John Cena, he felt a sense of pride and confidence. The morning had started with fear and uncertainty, but it was ending with hope and empowerment. He knew he would never forget the way they had stood up for him and the lessons he had learned about courage, kindness, and the importance of helping others. Grace smiled at him, seeing the change in his expression, and felt a deep sense of relief. Liam had faced a frightening situation and had come through it stronger, with the support of two incredible men who had shown him the power of standing up for what is right. Liam realized that courage wasn't always about fighting back physically. It could also be about facing fear with someone who believed in you. The Rock and John Cena had shown him that true strength came from kindness, presence, and the willingness to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The bikers had been defeated not by force but by confidence, authority, and a sense of justice. Liam's heart swelled with gratitude and understanding, knowing that this day had changed him in a way he would carry forever. As the crowd slowly dispersed, Liam, Grace, The Rock, and John Cena spent a few more minutes talking. Liam shared stories about his life, his love for basketball, and the friends he met at the park. The two men listened carefully, offering encouragement and advice, making Liam feel valued and supported. He realized that the kindness of others, especially those who used their strength for good, could have a lasting impact on someone's life. The bikers were gone, the park was peaceful again, and Liam felt a sense of safety and empowerment he had never felt before. The experience had started with fear and intimidation, but it ended with courage, hope, and inspiration. Liam understood that he had been brave, and that having support could make even the scariest moments manageable. The Rock and John Cena had shown him the power of standing up for what is right, and the importance of protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Liam knew he would never forget this day, the lessons he had learned, and the heroes who had appeared when he needed them most. UT being big or strong, but about facing difficult situations with your heart. Liam felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of gratitude and newfound confidence. The two men weren't just famous, they were kind, and their actions showed him that there were people in the world who truly cared. Witnesses to the event began to feel inspired. They saw a boy in a wheelchair, facing a group of bikers, and two men stepping in to stand by him. The message was clear. Standing up for someone in need was powerful. Even without physical confrontation, courage and presence could change the outcome. Children watching, who had been frightened by the bikers, began to understand that strength wasn't always about intimidation. It could also be about support, protection, and justice. The bikers, sensing that the situation was no longer in their control, started to move back. The Rock and John Cena didn't chase them or act aggressively. They simply maintained their calm authority, making it clear that the harassment would not continue. Liam's fear fully turned into relief, and a small smile appeared on his face. For the first time since the bikers arrived, he felt safe. Grace looked at her brother with pride. He had stayed strong despite the fear, and now he could see the impact of standing together with someone who cared. The Rock and John Cena didn't just protect him physically, they gave him the courage to face a scary moment with his head held high. Liam realized that even in the scariest times, help could come in the most unexpected ways. The scene slowly calmed. People resumed their activities in the park, though many still glanced at the boy in the wheelchair and the two men who had come to his aid. Liam felt a sense of awe as he processed what had just happened. It had started as a normal Saturday morning, and now it was something he would never forget. He rolled his wheelchair a little closer to The Rock and John Cena, feeling safe and inspired. Grace whispered to Liam that they could continue to the basketball court now. He nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The bikers were gone, the park felt peaceful again, and the support of two incredible people had shown him that fear didn't have to last. Liam's story, which had begun with intimidation and worry, was now becoming a story of courage, hope, and unexpected heroes who arrived when they were needed most. He was still scared, but now there was a chance that this moment wouldn't end badly. As the distance closed, the bikers started to notice the two men approaching. One of them tilted his head, squinting, trying to figure out who they were. The confidence and calmness in the way The Rock walked, the way John Cena carried himself, sent a subtle warning. It was not a loud threat, but it spoke volumes. The bikers' laughter quieted down a little, and the group's energy began to shift. Liam felt a mix of relief and awe. Two of the most famous, strongest men he had ever seen were coming toward him. The fear that had been heavy in his chest was now mixed with wonder and gratitude. The park, which had felt tense and intimidating just moments ago, seemed to hold its breath. Passers-by watched silently, sensing that the situation was about to change. Liam rolled his chair forward slowly, his hands gripping the wheels tighter, ready to follow Grace if needed. He didn't fully understand what would happen next, but he knew he was no longer alone. There was help, real and powerful help coming for him. And so the scene was set. Liam, surrounded by bikers who meant to intimidate him, and two men jogging calmly toward him whose presence promised safety and justice. The air was thick with tension, but also a quiet hope. Liam's story, his ordinary Saturday morning in the park, was about to take a turn that he would never forget. In that moment, fear and courage were intertwined, and the stage was ready for something remarkable to unfold.